Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video for the English YouTube channel. Yes, you read the title right. This video is going to be about the teenage brain. Ever wondered why teenagers seem so different, moody, and hard to wake up in the morning? Well, it's not just you, it's science. In today's video, we're diving into the fascinating world of the teenage brain, exploring how their minds work, why they sleep so much, and why their reactions can feel so unpredictable. Stay tuned to learn the real reason behind all those teenage quirks. Let's begin reading the passage. The teenage brain. Think back to when you were entering high school. Did you have trouble getting up in the morning? Did your teachers think you were moody? Did your parents think you had turned into an alien? These changes in your behavior were probably because you were a teenager and your brain was playing havoc with your life. Let's start with waking up in the morning. This is often a source of conflict and aggravation for teenagers and parents. In this case, science is on teen side. Researchers have found that the body's sleep-wake cycle is governed by something called our circadian clock. This determines when our body is ready to fall asleep and when it is ready to wake up. During the teenage years, the circadian clock shifts forward about 4 hours. For example, the child who used to go to bed at 8:30 p.m. and rise at 6 a.m. now wants to stay up past midnight and sleep in until 10 a.m. This change puts teens' sleep cycles out of sync with the sleep habits of the rest of their family. If teens are forced to get up at the same time as everyone else, then they begin to build up a sleep debt. Researchers speculate that this sleep deprivation may provide one explanation for why teens feel unable to concentrate at home or stay alert at school and are generally bad-tempered. Lack of sleep also has serious consequences with respect to learning. During sleep, we rehearse all of the learning from our day and assign it to long-term memory. Without enough sleep, we aren't able to learn effectively. Research is providing provisional insights into other areas of teenage brain development too. Until recently, many researchers believed that most important brain development took place in the womb and during the first 3 years of life. However, a large-scale study of 145 children and adolescents, carried out by Dr. J. Geed and colleagues at the National Institute for Mental Health, has shown that the teenage years are also an important period for brain development. We know that the brain grows like a tree. Just before puberty, the brain overproduces lots of new brain cells. Then, during the teenage years, it prunes away any cells that are unused. This trimming of brain cells has prompted scientists to propose a use it or lose it theory of brain development. Geed believes that which leisure activities teens participate in during these years, from playing video games to undertaking more demanding hobbies such as photography and karate, determine which connections survive into adulthood. Meanwhile, in Boston, researchers in the laboratories at McLean Hospital are carrying out exploratory research on how the teen brain processes facial expressions. Teens and adults were asked to view a series of pictures showing a variety of facial expressions. The researchers found that the teens used a different part of the brain than the adults when processing the pictures. This resulted in them misreading the emotions being expressed. Teen brains showed more activation in the brain circuits that respond emotionally. In other words, the teens' responses were more like gut reactions. Adults, on the other hand, processed the facial expressions using the prefrontal part of the brain. This area is responsible for the executive functions of the brain, including planning, decision-making, reasoning, and judgment. The researchers speculate that this area regulates the more emotional part of the brain and helps to control reactions. The fact that the teen brain is not interacting with the emotional region in the same way as the adult brain provide clues to understanding adolescent behavior. Therefore, rather than expecting teenagers to act like grown-ups, parents and caretakers need to be aware that teenage brains process the world differently than adult brains. While brain researchers are full of enthusiasm regarding these new findings, they are also quick to caution against translating them into educational policies or new teaching fads without first considering whether this is truly justified. One point that all researchers agree on is that the most constructive thing adults can do to ensure healthy brain development in their children is to spend loving, quality time with them. Now that we've explored how the teenage brain works and why teens behave the way they do, let's quickly go over the main points. Here's a brief summary to wrap up everything we've discussed. During the teenage years, the brain undergoes significant changes which can affect behavior, mood, and even sleep patterns. Teens often struggle with waking up early because their circadian clocks shift, making them want to stay up late and sleep in longer. This leads to sleep deprivation, which can impact learning and concentration. Research also shows that the teenage brain continues developing, pruning unused brain cells and strengthening those used frequently. The activities teens engage in, from video games to hobbies, shape their brain connections into adulthood. Additionally, teens process emotions differently than adults, relying more on their emotional brain than on the reasoning part. This explains why teens may misinterpret facial expressions or react impulsively. Despite these discoveries, researchers emphasize that the best way to support healthy brain development in teenagers is by spending quality, loving time with them. So let's get started and unlock the power of words together. Havoc means chaos, disorder, or disruption. It suggests that the changes in a teenager's brain caused confusion and disrupted their life. So the phrase means that the brain was causing chaos or disruption in the teenager's behavior and daily life. Govern. In this context, govern means controlled or regulated. It indicates that the body's sleep-wake cycle is managed or directed by the circadian clock, which is a natural system that influences when we feel sleepy or awake. So the phrase means that the body's sleep and wake patterns are controlled by the circadian clock. Out of sync means not aligned or not in harmony. It indicates that the sleep patterns of teens no longer match or are coordinated with the sleep habits of the rest of their family. Thus, the phrase means that the change in teens' sleep cycles causes them to be misaligned with the sleeping schedules of their family members. Deprivation is a lack of something necessary. Specifically, sleep deprivation refers to not getting enough sleep. So the phrase means that the lack of sufficient sleep might explain why teens have trouble concentrating, staying alert, and are often in a bad mood. Synonyms for it are lack, deficiency, shortage, insufficiency, and absence. Prefrontal refers to the prefrontal cortex, which is the front part of the brain, located just behind the forehead. This region of the brain is responsible for higher-level functions such as planning, decision-making, reasoning, and controlling emotions. This sentence means that adults use the front part of their brain to analyze facial expressions in a more thoughtful and rational way. The Longman Dictionary says a fad is something that becomes very popular for a short time, but then is quickly forgotten or loses its appeal. In this context, educational fads refers to new teaching methods or trends that might become popular quickly without being properly tested to see if they are effective. For example, brain researchers warn against adopting new teaching fads based on the latest findings, without carefully evaluating whether they actually benefit students. Womb refers to the uterus, which is the part of a woman's body where a baby grows before it is born. Womb means that the most important brain development happens before birth, while the baby is still inside the mother's uterus. To justify means to show or prove that something is right, reasonable, or necessary. It is when you provide a good reason or explanation for an action or decision. For example, she tried to justify her decision to change jobs by explaining how it would help her career. Respond to the questions in the comment below. Base your responses on the reading and your own personal experiences. 1. Why do teenagers have such difficulty waking up in the morning? 2. What are some consequences of not getting enough sleep? 3. Describe how the brain grows and develops. 4. Why did the teenagers in the Boston study react to facial expressions differently from adults? 5. What practices could parents or schools put in place based on these research results? 6. Do you think teenagers should be treated like adults by their parents or in the eyes of the law? That's it for today's video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you have any suggestions for future videos, I'd love to hear them. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out. Until next time, take care.